Mr. Grow It. From the Stash Podcast.
And a huge shout out to AC Infinity. AC Infinity's got a brand new bowl trimmer, and you're going to want to get your hands on this. I harvested an entire pound in just a couple hours. I didn't have a sore back. It was easy on my feet, and boy, was it fast. Don't hesitate. Go to acinfinity.com. Use promo code THESTASH15. Save a few dollars off at checkout, and thank them for being a sponsor of today's video.
We should start off with the introduction of HomeGrowTV, man. I mean, I'm familiar with you. You've been on my podcast twice now. You actually interviewed me for my podcast. It was you got a lot going on, man. There's so much good stuff to be said about you. I noticed your YouTube channel just passed 50,000 subscribers. Congratulations, man. That is not easy at all. Well deserved, real high quality content. How about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Dude, first off, thank you guys. It's an honor to be here. It was a crazy dream come true being on the podcast when that happened. The second time just blew my mind. And, you know, I think for me, it's just unbelievable to be doing what we do here. You know what I mean? Like just following this amazing plants, you know, these amazing adventures, having these amazing conversations. So I just want to start off by thanking you guys for having me on here first, bro, to getting to hang out and share some time and passion, I guess, with the community or anyone listening. So originally, boys from Edmonton, Canadian born. Proud of it.
Woohoo!
You know? Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I love it.
America.
Always will. Think we got a great country. I can't say, you know, it has anything to do. I won't even go there.
I won't even go. Good. No,
right? I love
people.
it, man. The Canadian, great people, man. Great people. Amazing country to be born in, and most amazing nature ever. But also, we have an amazing history too, right? Amazing history too with those plants, and an amazing indoor scene going back. What was it, like the 90s? I don't know when the boys were doing it in Canada, but thank God they did, because that was my intro to everything back when I was still in high school or just got out. And I came back from my high school trip. I saved up my money, went to Europe, came back, and my stepdad showed me my first grow, little closet grow. So that culture in Canada is something else I'm grateful for, because, dude, Canada does it right, man. I think. And I hope that continues to happen. And that was my little intro into like just growing and seeing the plants and seeing what's up, and just the beauty of seeing it in person, right? And not just reading High Times, or not just seeing it on magazines. So I was a big fan of the culture, that's for sure. So I got a little sample in, dabble in it for a year or two, but then, you know, the life is a beautiful thing. You never know where you end up. And I found affiliate marketing and ended up traveling, because it turned out to be cheaper to be outside of Canada if I was making a little bit of money. So Thailand was a destination. I was there for 3 months, and this was back again. Seeing what's happening now in Thailand is so cool, because I was back. This was 2013 when I was there. They still had the king was still alive. It was crazy jail time, like life sentences, you know, for anything going down. So it was different times. It was just a beautiful country to see, much cheaper to live in. So 3 months were cool there. And then Colombia was the next destination. It was like a group of three of us. We ended up stumbling down to Colombia for 3 months, and in month 2 I was like, I'm settled on this spot, bro. I got to know the language. I want to know more. The place is beautiful. It's the land of eternal spring is what they call Medellin, the city where I ended up visiting. And funny enough, now 10 years later, it's like popping up in all these news articles all over the place. It's like a hot travel destination. You got to go there. And 10 years ago, it was still kind of like people were scared of Pablo Escobar's ghost at that time when I first got here, man. It was like, you know, what's going on? Are you safe? Are you okay? I'm like, dude, I'm happy as heck down here. You got to come visit. And since my mom, my grandma, people have been down here. But affiliate marketing led me into filmmaking. And in that journey of filmmaking, I was back in 2016. I lived here in Colombia, bro. It was like 6 years or almost 8 years, probably 6 more realistically, until I found out that you could legally have 20 plants here. I had no idea. So that's eventually, you know, the short story to get into like how HomeGrowTV formed, from like affiliate marketing to filmmaking to touch base to the grassroots of like my stepdad showing me what's up with the first few little cuttings that came from BC, to now to just being like YouTube to see what's going on and the changes happening. You know, it's like, okay, cool. I have the opportunity to do 20 plants down here and explore and learn and retouch base with this whole thing again. You know, this whole thing of this, I consider it an amazing hobby, a passion of growing, you know?
Well, you do an
Yes.
incredible job, man, on the documenting and cinematography, all that stuff,
Thank
dude.
you.
I mean, you dig way back onto your channel. I started watching you when you first came out, and you started releasing content, and it was great, amazing content. And you think like you can't get much better than that, and then all of a sudden you start tuning into like his newest stuff, and you're just blown away, man. You
Thank
must
you.
spend a lot of time filming and editing, huh?
It's full time. Like it's like my craziest full time jobs or projects or clients I've ever worked for in the past in any space, but more. Like and the funnest thing is like I'm liking it more for a lot of reasons. I think one thing is just like the freedom of being able to wake up, dude, in this place and spend all the time and learning through new flavors and different things that are popping up. Like today, for example, right now we have the Grow Bro transplanting 20 of the Chiloto G's, bro. And it's just like
Hey.
from seed all the way to end. And that one we're hunting for male, we're looking through and just the adventure of all that. It's a ton. But yeah, for the first time ever, we actually do have a helping hand now here on the channel. It's helping me with a lot of that plant stuff. The editing will always still be 100% just that story. And I feel like the story that now from the seed to harvest really is like 25% of what it could be, what it should be, or what it can be, I guess, what I want to do with it. As far as like cinematics, like there's so much crazy stuff to do more in the macro world and stack photography and moving it, like Eric Nug shots and what they do. Like I got that book higher from that dude. It's amazing his work and what he does. So much respect. And now moving that into the video world. So like there's so much more and years more that I want to put into just filming the plants, you know, and then that into the episodes. So yeah, and I appreciate it.
Content on in general is so juvenile. It's such in its infancy. You know what I mean? When we started, or at least when I started, nobody was using a camera. You know, shout out to maybe Remo, but 99% of people were still using cell phones. It was very stagnant.
Cell phones.
Majority were cell phones that were
480p.
vertical. Yeah, 480p and vertical. You know, it's like here's my white witters, you know, week 8, and you know, it's lights flickering through the the lens, and you know, it's kick forward, you know, 10 years later, and you know, we've got red cameras that are starting to take the scene, you know, and not only that, they're taking over in the online world. They have barely been applied to our content, you know, so it's so juvenile. It's exciting to see taking it to that next level, man. You know, 60 seconds into this week's video, or last week's video, your most recent one, and you know, you touch on it. The story that you're telling is just so easy to listen to, man. You're really good at captivating and leading into the next sequence, and just hats off to you. Are you doing this on your own? Do you have a team?
No, so this started on my own. I tried to start it with my brother, dude. Dickie's back in Canada, his best friend growing up, and but it was like just before pandemic started. I was like, all right, dude, I think let's just do this as a passion. And life happens and things happen, and he's busy doing his thing. And I really hope to reconnect with him one day. And I hope he watches this. And I hope we reconnect and do something. But no, it's just me doing my thing, but connecting with a lot of people along the way, in the sense of like the Grow Bro, like the families that I've found from like events online, like the connection, like the calls I do even on a weekly basis with other growers in different spots, just to like, let's get motivated on like the plant work we got to do, right? Or creators working in the video space, like, all right, let's do calls and do it on this space. But no, there's, as far as HomeGrowTV, huge shout out to Mr. Q, who a lot of people from HomeGrowTV know who he is. You see him in a lot of the episodes. He's a big helping hand as logistically here in Colombia, like helping us with the growing side of things. Like growing in Canada and growing in Colombia, totally different. You know what I mean? Like finding soil here, bro, was like, it sounds stupid, but I'm like, what do? I got to start over. I'm like, I really got to figure it out. And it seemed like no one really had it figured out. And finally, I was like, okay, Mr. Q, perfect. You got this solved. Okay, you have nutrients here in Colombia too. Perfect. Okay, what else? Like, what can I start doing? Like, he got me into the game in Colombia. So big shout out to Mr. Q. But yeah, I hope the family keeps growing, man. I hope there's like 10 of us at some point. We got the Grow Bro Brian helping out with a lot of the plant work. But I hope at some point, like, it's a team, and we have a warehouse, and we have like 30 tents going. We have licenses and we're sampling tons of different genetics. When's this going into the macro shots? When are we taking this to the lab? What's going on in tent number 10? Oh, the pheno hunt over here is looking nuts. We're doing a documentary over here. You know, it's nuts. The dreams are big. There's a lot of work to do though until then, I think.
The hustle's real, man.
The reality though, you know, like we're all solopreneurs for the longest time, and only the past 2 years have we come together, and the amount of growth we've had as a collective is insane
Right.
versus by ourselves. I mean, 9 years on Sunday is going to be 9 years of CLtv, and the amount of
Wow.
growth. Not knocking CLtv, shout out Trey, the homie, but by having the three of us working towards a goal of 3 solo creators, so to speak, in terms of the filming, writing, editing, you know, producing 100%, it really changes the game. And now over here we have an editor, so it's crazy because we all edit our own content, but to have that makes it so we can really focus on the growth and creativity of the brand, and all those goals that we look at as wild dreams, we can actually start making a reality. We got one that I want to put it out, we're going to hold it back still yet, of one that was a dream that last year at MJ BizCon we were trying to make a reality, and now it's become a reality, which is crazy. So there's a lot of things that a group and a collective of minds working together as one can really do to push that dream forward. So shout out to you as having that dream, man, and working towards getting that collective.
Thank you, brother. And shout out 9 years. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
That's big time. That's like, you know, that's more than a lot of brands and companies working in this space or even, you know, have to say about the brand. So putting forth content and doing what you do, big shout out to you.
appreciate it, brother. Yeah, but it's
A lot of
passion that
years-
keeps you going, man.
A lot of years, and this is a beautiful plant, man. And I think it kind of speaks to the community, the culture, the science, the desire for more, man. There is an underlying truth about this plant that cannot be denied. That's its healing properties. Clearly, that's the way it connects people, you know, because you can't deny that either. I've met some pretty incredible friends because of this plant, and I think it's hard to deny that despite all the efforts to kind of shield it or sweep it under the rug, it continues to prevail, you know, and it's exciting to be a part of this movement. And I know that's what kind of like puts the fire under my rear end, is like, I like to be a part of this kind of changing of course, if you will, changing of guard in terms of the old into the new, and where can we take it from here, you know? And man, to see that creators like yourself exist, God, that excites me, man. To hear your passion for this plant and your passion to do more and bring more to the people, man, that's exciting. That's exciting. And that's just a testament to this community and this culture.
Yeah, bro. Ugh. Why isn't it on Netflix yet, bro? Like, where's our series
Right?
for all of us to be watching and
Right.
talking about every
It's
like?
it's
right,
coming.
like,
It's
I
coming.
hope
It's
so,
coming.
dude.
We're on
Yeah.
the cusp of it. We really are. I've been saying that. Like we're on the cusp of seeing, you know, community built athletes, community built celebrities, community built, you know, politicians, if you will, community built, you know, that have the desire to speak freely and succeed, if you will. Just to kind of go back, when you said you're in Colombia and the reality of the difference between Canadian growing and Colombian growing, can you touch on that a little bit? Like is it the resourcing of products? Is it the products themselves? Is it the shipping? What is it that makes it different?
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's a hard thing. So it's like there's grocery stores popping up all over the place, and there is a lot, right? Like, I'm close to Medellin. That's where I was living for 8 years. I moved just outside of it, like 40 minutes out, and that's you know, the city that you see a lot of the movies and stuff on Netflix. And then Bogota being another main capital, Cali. There's grow shops in all these places popping up. But like, when I first started doing this again, you would go there, they would talk about there being a tent, but it's a few days for it to arrive, and then it's like arrives, and it was really like kind of shoddy. But anyway, it was my first tent, so I was pumped. I was used to building my rooms before. And then just getting gear was next to impossible. And then when I found nutrients, it was going to be whatever the cost of the market was, plus 30%. And it was really hard to find even good options there. So I was like, man, this is really hard. So Colombia is beautiful in the sense you can find and do pretty much everything, or what you need to find. It's a very rich country in resources, like, okay, cocoa, you know, worm castings. But unless you know the people or the connection, especially being not from the country, I do speak the language, but it's still like finding the gardeners. Where do you get your cocoa from? So that was like the biggest struggle, was connecting. And it took a little bit. And that was Mr. Q, who I was shouting out earlier, who does run like an even e-commerce now here and a grow shop, and bringing down good grow gear, different nutrients and stuff. So it was like, that was the biggest struggle at the beginning. And then importing anything here, you got to pay 30% more. Like anytime I see a good car, like a $100,000 car, I'm like, that's nuts. That's $130,000. I'm like, it just doesn't make sense for certain things here. Whereas other things are way cheaper. I can get 40 kilos of castings for like under $10, and it's really good and it's quality, or like your veggies and your food. So things that are from the country are great, but getting things from outside are really expensive. So that was like the biggest struggle. And then genetics, bro. No one is bringing in genetics that are like, to find in a good bank or anyone that was bringing it in, it was very far and few between. And if you'd find it, it was old stock, or it was just like, it's not, definitely not the selection you'd want. So it seems like it'd been easy to, after that, start getting genetics in. But those were the biggest struggles. It was like getting good setups and finding the resources here, and then genetics. And that's been like, I think it's because of that, it's turned into like a passion and definitely a goal here in Colombia. Like going to the cups. Dude, AC Infinity was so cool. At the cup that I just got back from, I asked him, I was like, I'm going to the cup. I believe in it. I think it's going to be a good cup. Would you guys sponsor? And they ended up sponsoring lights for the indoor growers for the winners. They ended up sponsoring like some things like this. So like as a goal, I want those resources to be here, the things that were hard, because the people want it. The desire is here. They just don't have the tools. And sometimes it's like they don't have the genetics. So like finding the connections in people, like, okay, cool. Who can I connect with who for you guys to like make that happen, so everyone can have a selection, or if I find something good, can I keep the mother stock around enough to be able to share it at different events and different cups for people to be able to do it? And that's something like I would love for this place to be like 5 years, you guys come down and visit, and it's like we can go do a tour and everyone's at the indoor games at the same level. The genetics is, there's no difference. They can have the same thing. So it's become kind of a goal because of that initial struggle.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah. One of the things actually I want to touch upon was, talking about the differences between that and Canada is like, how about the environment conditions? I mean, I can imagine that's crazy difference. You know what I mean? Like I'm in a desert climate. You're more in like now in Colombia, it's more like a tropical climate, right? So like you're battling higher humidity, closer to the equator and all that stuff. Can you talk about kind of the differences like growing in like a tropical region versus when you were up in Canada and stuff?
Yeah, and I think it even goes further beyond tropical. What I found interesting about living on the equator, there's no different seasons, right? So it's the same sunset all year round, the same conditions all year round. Yeah, there's like, they always like, it's the rainy season, and when do they say it is? December. It's not really a rainy season. Like Thailand has an actual rainy season, down season from December, I forget even there is their actual rainy season, it pours. But here, it's pretty much the same, like throughout. So the first thing I noticed was like in Canada, well, you got winter and summer. So there's two different major differences that even in the basement, wherever I was doing it, there was going to be a difference in the conditions from season to season. So the easier part is no matter what, when I figure it out here, it's stable. Well, then you enter into the hard parts about it here. The humidity is so high, it's crazy. Like a lot of my first seed to harvest, up until the new ones you're going to see happen, until I finally got the budget together to get a big dehumidifier. I still don't have enough to get something like Quest, but I got like one of the big ones that's like 170 pints. I can't ship anything here over 100 pounds or else it's like a whole new category of import. So I got like this big one, and finally I've been able to get my humidity to like that 55, in the late flower, which late flower I was always used to being in like above 70s. And I was listening to one of your podcasts, Chris. I think it was when you were talking to Square One or Titan. And you guys were talking, or maybe it was on one of your guys' shows, you were just talking about like the number above 70 for powdery mildew. And I was just like, dude, over the last like 6 months, I was going through such a struggle back and forth and fighting it. And you guys were having, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was really just during this whole thing. I was just trying to figure it out. And I finally conquered the battle of it. And it was hard. So high humidity was just a crazy thing to deal with here in Colombia. And I just had to invest. I got ACs now. I got dehumidifiers. You're going to see in the seed to harvest, it totally changes with the investment I had to go back and do into my basics just to get my baselines okay, where it's good enough to go into late flower without ever worrying about powdery mildew. And dude, the bugs here is a whole nother level. Like in that past episode, you seen aphids. But aphids, I laugh at. I'm like, right on, aphids, let's go, baby. Like, I'll take those down, no problem. But then the spider mite levels that are around here, the battles I've had in trying to do scrogs, like, it's nuts. I never seen insects before in Canada. I also wasn't growing nearly as long. But I hadn't seen the spider mite levels like I had here, or the problems with powdery mildew and this stuff. I always learned about it, knew about it from like Jorge Cervantes' grow guides and that stuff. Yeah, let's take our practices. But dude, when I seen it here, it was a whole nother level of tropic bug attack, dude.
That's rough, man. And then not being able to have the exact resources to combat that makes it even worse. So it's like, and
Right.
even more restrictive. You can't just be, well, I'll just get genetics that work well in this because, well, you're limited to what you can get. And it really makes it so you have to, play mother or father nature in that case. Did you notice a massive increase in your overall cost when you were having to do this kind of finagling to make it work with your electricity and like the climate control?
For sure, big time. Because just in reinvesting like into like, I'm like, do I got to bring my temperatures down and get the AC? And is AC really going to lower my humidity? And let's get into the dehumidifier. It was such a crazy thing just going through all this. And a lot of the Colombians were laughing at me, and because they're like, dude, we grow 365 outdoors, we do greenhouses, and like we have some struggles with like our molds and bud rot and stuff, but like we have this amazing sun that we're blessed with, and here you are spending how much on your light bill, and you're trying to do what for the indoor? I'm like, I know, but a lot of us growers from Canada, we got winter, and that's what we do is indoor, and that's who I'm speaking to, and that's my audience, and I love indoor. But I really do, after seeing them all kind of laughing and making fun of me and throughout this whole thing, I'm like, all right, it's on the goal list. In the next year or 2 years, I would love to have like a nice greenhouse and learn about outdoor and like something more sustainable, because my light bill is pretty hefty here, especially adding in all those things,
What would the electric bill be in Colombia roughly for something like this, or hydro bill?
So I got one here. It's 2.2 million pesos for 1 month, and 2.2 million pesos into dollars are probably like just above $600.
Holy.
Yeah, bro.
Wow.
So
How many lights are you running?
So I'm running 2 Evo 8s on this side. So it's like pretty much, if we broke it down, it's almost like 3,000, or it's like 2,000 and 2,000 watts per side. Then that's not counting the the two new AC that I just installed that are 18,000 or 18 BTU or whatever, 18, that stuff. So yeah, it's hefty. And the next thing I'm looking at is getting a license so I can go above 20 and just do, a bunch, because the way I look at it, I'm still only doing 20% of the research I want to be able to do in a place, like the episodes to everything. I just want to always have something in flower, different stuff running. So it costs a lot, just to the research I want to do for the episodes. Not everything makes it to episode. There's a lot of stuff I'm like, yep, total failed attempts, or this isn't something that excites you enough to even bring it to the episode, so we're just going to move on. So it's just like, for every 4 there's one that I'm like, this is nuts, here's our next episode, so it's like it is crazy on the investment. And what's nuts about it, I'm not moving any of my product, nothing gets sold. That part is fully illegal here. It goes into like, all right, let's move it into rosin, let's move it into something else, let's study it into this, so it's like, hopefully that is something Colombia is looking at, that that could be an income eventually at some point. But as of right now, it's just a full expense.
I mean, for passion consumption, I consume a lot, as you may have picked up as we've sat here. This is
right.
Cigar number 3, we'll say. And it really boils down to, well, is it going to go to me or to someone else? And I don't have a ton of hobbies, we'll say. I got some, more than others. But this is one for me I've had a passion for since I was like 12, man. So it'd be weird. This is my life. This is what I do. So it'd be weird to not have that in my life. So I respect what you're doing. And then you've got a different style of content creation. You know what I'm saying? You do a lot of seed to harvest, so you need to have the space. Otherwise it's going to be, once every couple months where you're putting stuff out.
Right.
So if you don't have multiple areas, like, this is for your business too, not just you're not getting rid of anything, you're getting rid of knowledge and information. And without the investment, you couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. And that was a big bottleneck I noticed at the beginning. Seeing the first seed to harvest, I was like, okay, so legitimately on timeline, if I wanted to do a seed to harvest every month, let's say I wanted to do 2 every month, like, how often would I need to pop something, and how many tents would I need to run, and like, how would this work? I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot, bro. And that's if everything goes perfect, and that's not going to work. And that's if I'm there every week to like film it at the time and this and then. I'm like, okay, let's take it step by step. So I think, we'll see what it turns into and where it goes. I think right now I'm definitely at a limit. There's no more expansion or anywhere to go until we hit outdoor, or until we hit something like a facility or license, which I really project to be like a year or 2 away until we're even looking at that kind of stuff.
I think you're on the right path though, by, the big thing is you're building your portfolio right now. You know what I'm saying? Essentially, you're building what's going to make you credible to either an investor or to someone looking at you for a license. Because you're like, look at all the information and the professional content I've put out, and here's my garden, here's everything I do. You can see I'm worth investing in. And at that point, you're going to come with genetics too, because now you've sourced them, you've found them, you can really make this happen. Have you ever considered the breeding side of things because you're limited on getting stuff?
That is so sick that you put it that way, because I never thought about it as well as the portfolio side of things and building it. I love having like a diary. Even before HomeGrow, I have like 38 vlogs of my life. I was just like traveling around and different stuff before. I love like the video log to be able to go back and look years later. And I never thought about the portfolio. That's a really cool idea. On the breeding side, 100% in the sense of like, that is just so crazy far out of my world that it would be so cool to one day do. I think like all of us at some point think like, what is that flavor cross with that? And recently, especially being here, not being able to be like, oh, okay, let's try these cuts from so-and-so that is, you know, over here. You know, I'm on a different continent. So the flavors and cuts available here are different. So the selection is different. And I'm already doing a lot of the pheno hunting. And so I'm thinking, you know, that's why we're hunting one of these males. We've done like 3 or 4 male hunts where we're just to learn and figure out what's going on without ever crossing anything. Like, what does it look like? And what do they look like when there's 12 of them? And okay, what is this? What is this? And just trying to like get my hands figure out what the heck that even is. So with this whole Chill Out OG run, I know already my goal, like, okay, I want to find something taller that's going to be a nice match towards certain amazing ones that I found before, like Black Hole. You know, over the last 2 years, I've only kept certain few ones. So I think for sure at the beginning, for the sake of science and for more so the sense of preserving these flavors, you know, like I really love this one. There's no way you guys are going to get a cut out of it, but it would be so sick if you could try this preservation of this at some point, you know. So I don't know. I have no idea. It's the first time I've even like openly or like talking about it out loud. But there's definitely, you know, we've been publishing like, yeah, we're looking for males. You know, everyone knows we're obviously, like, what else are you going to do with the males? You know, so at some point we're trying to figure it out, just to like figure that part out, to show that on the channel, to show it from like, okay, I think we've done this. And then after, when we grow it, what does that mean? What, like, does the orange and the blue, are we going to see this? And I have no idea. So I'm just like, as a kid in a crayon store, like, hey, where do we go with this and what do we do? But it's definitely something that is driving the passion as far as like, okay, I think, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years, it would be so cool if I did. And I knew that like at the cup that we went to, that I took my favorite that we had seen the seed to harvest to, and we seen that seed to harvest, and we crossed and we worked on it. And that is what got tucked to the cup because the flavor was so unique. It would be so nuts. And that's like, again, if that happens in 20 years, it'd be amazing. But it's on the bucket list for sure.
Well, with those males, you could always, I'm not sure if you already have plans to do this, but collect the pollen, you know what I mean? Preserve it, you know? So if you see something you really like and, you know, collect that pollen, whichever way you want to store it. Some people will store it in the just bags in the fridge. And, you know,
Right.
that's the way I did it. And I know some people will opt for glass jars instead, but I used one a year later, you know what I mean? So you can actually preserve it. I'm sure it will probably be preserved for longer than that, but yeah, I know, even though you're not 150% into creating your own crosses and breeding stuff like that, but you could probably definitely preserve that pollen for a little while in case you change your mind.
Dude, you want to hear how stupid it is? My excuse for not doing it yet is because the only place in my house, because you got to dry it good, right, before I put it in. The only place in my whole house where I got to dry it enough is literally where my plants are. And I'm still like trying to figure the whole thing out. I'm like, okay, but if I take that pollen there to dry, I'm like, the whole thing's going to be everywhere. And I'm like, there's all my plants. So I'm like, I'm just stumbling through and breaking stuff along the way, but I have it there noted. I'm like, I got to figure out how to do this at some point, because I can't just keep cloning, you know, every single thing to back it out. Which one's the winner? Like, it's a ton. But if I could just get that pollen at the end, like, oh my God, perfect. We got 2 years where we know we could use that. I got to really figure that part out, man. I feel stupid when I just say it like that. My only excuse is because I have one room where I could bring the humidity down.
That's life, though, man. You know what I mean? Like, if we could do everything and all the little joys and adventures that us men often want to jump ourselves into, you know, we would have no other life. You know, that's the reality. Man, it sounds like Colombia is an amazing place to be. What's like the culture around this plant and the product? Is it like hush hush, or is it celebrated?
That's sick that you asked that, because it's totally new era and old guard, as you said earlier, or as traditional mindset of what's been going on and what's been pushed over the last 50 years or whatever through media. So all of my friends at these cups and at these events and everywhere, everyone in the industry here, they're so in tune, they're so open, it's so amazing. Go to these parks, you can roll, spark up a blunt if you want to, do whatever you want there. There's a lot of areas where it's open and it's amazing, but then you go speak to their parents and it's so odd, it's so rare that one of their parents is down with it. It's like I've maybe 2 or 3 out of all my friends that their parents are like what we would consider or their culture here, like crazy hippie, way far out there, where they're like, yeah, they're totally down with it. They would totally sesh up with us. That is still so divided, but they all coexist in the same spot, okay with it. And where I've noticed where they meet in the middle is on the medicinal side. So, for example, the lady who comes and helps me with my house and helps us with our cleaning and stuff, she comes once a week. And she has pains in her knee. And I'm like, Olgita, you got to try this cream. I have this cream and it's made from the plants. And I think it's really going to help. Dude, every week she comes, she's scooping more of this in her jar. And she's like, I'm so in tune with this. I knew it was going to work. I believe in that part. But there's no way I would ever sit down and sesh. So it's the 2 different eras. And I think what we're going to see, of course, over the next 5, 10, 15 years is just it is just so welcome and so embraced because of the culture that broke through. And it's just no, we're not just dudes that are wasting our time sitting on the corner, where a lot of us are productive members of society. A lot of us are doing this and that. And, I think we're still behind, I think, for sure, for what you guys are over there. But the new age is here and they're here to stay for sure.
Well, I think the expansion of the internet makes it so you can have the community that you could bring to your area. Where I live, Michigan, on the west side of Michigan, is very still on herb. Particularly where I live, we just got recreational last year to have stores here. Before there was never allowed. We only have one medical one here, period.
Yeah.
Right over the bridge, there's 20. But it's very conservative in terms of their belief system, very religious still. And I think a lot of it's just old school thinking, where they still equate it to a harder substance, and it just isn't that. But once you lean on the medical side, they're like, okay, all right. But as an inebriant, no. Alcohol, fine. But if the government 100% fully okayed it, it may be different. I feel like in Canada, the thought process may be different because the government completely legalized it, being federally legal. So you, I'm not 100%, but you being, a former Canadian resident, do you keep in contact with any former friends there or family members there?
Yeah, for sure. I have a few friends but from what I heard, it was just it was a total, chaos. It just did not go to plan. The quality was not there. It was not good. And so I had not been or experienced, other than being and visiting once or twice and going to the reserves and getting gummies that were not 10 milligrams. I'm telling you, I was laid out, bro. This was not a pack of 10 milligrams. But I'd seen part of this era. But no, I'm the wrong person to ask, because I've just heard from the outside and seen from my buddies that we're not impressed. We're not stoked.
I've noticed that's the issue. Yeah,
Right.
P's never.
We're not happy. No, of course not. No, it was fumbled, and it's dubbed Prohibition 2.0 because it wasn't fully legalized. It was legalized, but for whom is the question. Now, I don't want to get into it because it's not really the point here. But what I will say is that I'm very happy that I have a framework to work with. Okay.
Right.
I disagree with how it was laid out, but I am so thankful it was laid out, because man, I can enjoy myself. I can take, my vaporizer. I can take my hoots on the road. I can take them to my boys' hockey tournaments, and I can go outside and chill with everybody who's having a cigarette, and I can just puff away on my joint or on my vape or whatever, and no one cares, man. No one cares at all. And not only does no one care, but it's allowed, So, yeah,
you can grow your own, man. That's what I find.
I can't. I'm in Manitoba. Manitoba and Quebec are the 2 provinces that are not allowed to grow. So, recreational. Now, of course, I have a prescription, so I am legally allowed to grow. But no, that's why it's legal. But for who?
Yeah, so. Got you. And is that prescription? We don't want to stay on it too long. That's that RCMP thing, or did it move on from that? The
RCMP thing is the police, but this is the
sorry, I know the
MCPMR, it's the same thing. It's the same.
Got you.
They either added or most of today's culture, they either added or removed a letter.
Mhm.
Well, like
Still
where
trying to
this all
figure
kind
it
of
out.
circles back to, this is the microdose that may have been slightly a macrodose this morning. The Organis, shout outs, brought to you by the Organis. Do you want to see it go past where it is right now, where you live? Do you want to see it move to full legalization so then you can take it to the next step of getting it to everybody? Or is it just where it's at kind of seem kosher enough and you could just, because it's always that fine line where like you want it to be fully legal,
Right.
just leave us alone, let us do our thing. But we see everywhere, never is the case.
Yeah, that's a great
full
question.
legalization or just what it is.
It just got shut down in Colombia literally like last week, man. It goes through 9 votes and debates, and it was like flying through and crushing debate after debate, news, and it's Colombia's the next destination. And then debate number 9, it's just like, nope, done. Sorry guys, next time. I'm like, and I'm asking everyone like, well, what happened? I'm like, what's the deal there? And no one there's so many answers, so many things, just like with anything politics. So like, for me, I'm just at the same point. Whereas, like, as long as everyone's allowed to grow their own here, that's great. I think there could be improvements, but I'm also worried about like what has happened in other countries, the way it's happened, and restrictions and licensings and things. So for me, right now, I'm chilling. I'm really happy, but I'm intrigued to see whose template they follow and how other countries roll out. What continues to happen in Thailand? Where's Germany going? I think as each of these countries go online, I'm sure you guys see it as well, like just in the analytics on YouTube in these different areas, you see them now researching more, you see them finding the channel and asking questions and stuff because they're now being given more rights in that area. So it's such a complicated question, eh, boys? Like who's got the answer?
No, but that's just kind of ties into what we were saying earlier, but this is a very exciting time to be in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
For sure.
15 years ago, it was tough. You really couldn't really expose or admit that you were now a part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but all 3 of us hit our faces when we started our channel.
Yeah,
So
I was just a hand model.
To be able to come out, I was a crotch model. Yeah, me too. To be able to come out and not show our faces, we can go to events, we can blaze, we can be very forthcoming about what we're doing, what our hopes and dreams are, and I'm excited about it, and that's why it's like even though I have a distaste in my mouth for how legalization was rolled out here, I'm thankful it was, and that we have something to work with because there are places, in fact, Oklahoma, I'm looking at you, that actually voted no to recreational. So these are the people that voted no. Now, who participates in these votes and yada 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 is a different question, but I'm thankful that I had the door opened.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the door is open.
Well said.
At least propped. There's a foot
Yeah,
there.
propped. There's a door, there's a foot, and it's my foot,
Well, the fact that you can grow 20 plants, not everybody's a content creator. So if you can grow 20 plants, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it's sick. And a lot of people
I grow 12 here legally unless you're a caregiver.
12 here too. Yeah.
No, and it's good, and a lot of people do take advantage of it in their greenhouses and that kind of stuff. But I will say, you guys, let's say you're coming on a vacation here tomorrow and you roll through Medellin or Bogota, without knowing anyone, it's still not like, okay, great, I've got some amazing flowers. You know what I mean? Like, it's still very scarce. It's for indoor, it's still just starting. Extracts, on the other hand, that is all over the place. That you're starting to find more and more.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like that's the easier to sneak. The flower's stinky. The flower's an issue, and people want quality flowers, so it's going to be stinking. As for extracts, you can smuggle that a little better,
Yeah.
Especially with some disty, and you could take some crap product and make it pretty good. Something that did get PM and that did have issues. Like, what, blast it or
right. Or in the case,
we don't do, for the record.
Don't do
right. Dude, but in the case of my seed to harvest, anyone who's seen that, like, I had an issue with light stress and I had a few things I didn't look at it, I didn't catch it, pollinated, so I had like seeded flower that was like, to me, of very little value, especially going to a cup to be like, look at how cool this is. But we were able to extract the terps and the flavors into live rosin, and that's what like saved the cup and the harvest and pushed me into that kind of learning. It's everything happens for a reason. Mistakes kind of drove that, like, okay, cool, now I want to do this full batch with like out any problems and see what happens.
Absolutely.
That's wild, man. So I think we have a time for just a few more questions here. One thing that I wanted to ask about, we kind of tiptoed around the subject a little bit as far as like barriers and changes in your area. A quick Google search shows that more than 99.5% of Colombians speak Spanish. So I can imagine the language barrier is something there for you. I know you said you learned the language, but is there a lot of content on like the plant we all know and love in Spanish? And have you ever considered like having a Spanish channel so you could reach those people?
Right, that's a great question. There is a few, but not here in Colombia. There's like El Vuelo, I can't remember his name, but from Chile. There's a few good channels from like Chile and stuff to follow and see. But like GrowBro Mr. Q, I've been trying to push him, and he's done a lot of content, but he's so focused on like the distribution side and getting Colombia set up with the right gear and the nutrients and stuff that like he has no time to be able to do that content. But someone needs to do it, and I've thought of it. And as AI is happening, have you guys seen these voiceover things and like this voice, like this dubbing?
Oh yeah,
Because I got hit up 2 months ago by some guy who does dubbing for someone in Thailand, like a Mr. Beast style channel, right? And he's like does dubbing in all these languages. And I was like, send me pricing. I'm interested. That'd be really cool. I think everyone would love that in Spanish. Spain, Argentina, like all these markets are tuned on. And dude, it was ridiculous. I'm like, there's no way I could afford something. This was gonna be like over 5,000 a month to like dub my content for the amount of time it was with someone like doing it professionally, like the Mr. Beast style. And like, I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, hopefully it gets there. And I think the resources are here, the team's here, the people's there. And I'm waiting for technology. Since I started seeing these last few ads and things, I'm like, bro, that could be really cool. Right now, we have everything subtitled. So any Seed to Harvest is subtitled in Spanish. It has German. It has like the key languages of any of those countries. That like I have the script that I put in English and then I put it in Spanish. But dubbing would be sick. It'd be nuts.
Yeah, isn't if I'm not mistaken, isn't Spanish the most spoken language in the world?
Right? I think it was Spanish. I think it was, yeah, I can't remember. I just heard something about it recently. No, you know what? It might have been third underneath Mandarin. It was like English, Mandarin,
Mandarin,
Spanish.
English isn't number one, if I'm not mistaken. I thought English was like at least third. But
Google
anyways,
says English.
Mandarin's number
okay,
one.
okay. Well, clearly Google's not correct.
English, Mandarin, Spanish.
I thought Mandarin would at least.
There's different. Okay. One of them says like Chinese is first, and then Spanish, then English, and then like.
Well, the one that says Chinese as one is wrong. Chinese is not a language.
I know. Yeah, right. I know that it definitely opens up a part of the world like this, dude. It's like there's so much Argentina, the culture there, Chile. There's so many places to explore I haven't seen yet, and the culture blowing up. I was just on a call with someone talking about how the extraction game in Chile is so established that they're years ahead of Colombia, and that makes me think, whoa, what is going on over there then? Because here there's harvest rights everywhere. You know, there's people doing big things here. So what's going on in the rest of Latin America? And then Spain. Would you guys ever consider going to Spanibus, or did you guys go?
We were gonna go.
We've attempted a couple times. Yeah.
Let's go next year. I think we have to go.
Oof, yeah. That's putting. I'm terrified of flying, let alone flying over water. But I'm not gonna let that stop me. So
nothing, a little 30 milligram gummy, you know, just get you
30. I need 3,000, bro. I'm not even joking. Like I need some right now for the anxiety I'm feeling just thinking about it.
Dang.
Anyways, no, it's literally something we talked about, and sneak peek. Hopefully, we are all together over in Vegas here soon. I know the homie Joe. Bro, Joe, we had a great time last year, man. I really look forward to this year, and hope you're there as well, man, because it definitely is good to get together with the like-minded people. And it's crazy how more and more we somehow, some way, link with more people who have a very comparable mindset and background and drive for stuff. So I'm really looking forward to where things go as a collective.
I'm excited for that one. I hope to make that one happen. Vegas would be sick.
And it's it's just a blast. It'll be fun. Don't think of it as just the BizCon, although that we make amazing.
We call it,
you know what I mean? Like BizCon, yeah. Like we make that fun. You know what I mean? Like people always say like, oh, it's all for business wigs, and if you can't even blaze there, and I'm like, first of all, if you didn't blaze at or in MJ BizCon, sorry, you were in the wrong crowd. Because we may or may not have many times.
There's multiple areas too, like
lots of areas. Yeah. So you're not doing it right. But man, if you make it out, we will definitely do it right. I think we like skydiving last time. We went go karting. Like, man, you got to make it something.
Did all sorts of wild shit. Yeah.
That was fun.
We even did a photo shoot. We were all like Zoolander and everything. It's pretty cool.
We do that every year now.
Pretty cool.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vegas is just nuts. It's crazy, man. Like the amount of entertainment you have over there, Chris, to do on like it's a long weekend. Let's go crush a car with a tank. Let's go, fly a military, like go shoot out of a helicopter, bro. Like it's the craziest spot, man, for that kind of stuff. And I'm in, and the reason I'm in is so we can do something like the collab side of things and like filming something. I would love to do a tour if that's possible. See things that I can't see, here in Colombia on the growing end, because I know there's some great facilities and stuff over there too. Planet 13, it's called, right?
Oh yeah, that was an experience and a half. The weed sucked, but the experience was incredible.
Right.
Now they got a lounge too. I think they're putting there. They got a bunch of lounges got passed, and they're changing a lot of things. Changed. Chris would probably be more hip to that, but I know they just pushed more through because they were trying to hit them with different compliance restrictions. But so it'll be some good times.
Then it turns into a crazier Amsterdam at that point, huh? When the lounges are up and stuff.
That's it, man.
Well, then Amsterdam trying to push away all of the stuff too, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
Vegas is going to
celebrate it. It will. It is becoming, man. If it hasn't already, it's a great spot. But Dakota, hell of a conversation, man. I think it's fair to say that this is an easy part 2. We got to have you back sometime, man. This was a great conversation. Yeah, we didn't even get into grow styles and how you're growing and the stuff that Mr. Grow Up would have definitely gotten out of you on his epis. But man, if anyone for some reason doesn't know who you are or where to find you or how to contact you, where would they do that?
HomeGrowTV everywhere. And you check that out on the YouTube, on the gram.
All one word.
All one word. HomeGrowTV. I even keyword try and put that in for homegrown TV because a lot of people assume and just homegrown, right? So it's like homegrown TV. So it gets those out there. But yeah, just homegrown TV. And I really do appreciate everyone following the channel, throwing down the comments,
to another Seed to Harvest
adventure that we're doing to study this amazing plant. I think there's a lot more to do. I think it's just the beginning, like you said, P. And I'm really excited to see where the future takes us, whether it's in person in Vegas, whether it's on a part 2, where it is, whether it's you boys down here in South America. Bienvenidos.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining today, man. Appreciate your time.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys on Twitch for coming in. We appreciate you guys. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Dakota. We appreciate you for bringing this incredible content, man. Your channel is absolute fire, and I encourage anyone to go check them out on YouTube, HomeGrowTV. Thank you, Wink, for bringing in the P's and Q's, man. We appreciate you. This is the YouTube epi. I would like to smoke a little bit more after this, so if you're not watching this on Twitch, you're missing something. Twitch.tv/FromTheStash. If you're on YouTube, we're out of here. Peace.
Peace.